Welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges, advocate for OCD, in particular Pure OCD, which is also the name of my memoir, Pure OCD, The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. I'm a certified peer support specialist working with people all over the world to provide support as people are working toward recovery in whatever stage you're in. I run 8-week closed groups, and I also have an online community. And in there, we have weekly support groups, weekly peer support, monthly events, monthly classes, and the ability to connect to people all over the world who live with OCD to get that support that you need and you deserve wherever you are at in your OCD journey. I'm going to talk about dreams today. This is always such a good topic. I think I have a video or two on this, but it's always good to do a video on this because dreams can be incredibly triggering for us when it comes to OCD, and we will get into why. First, NoCD. NoCD is an app. Inside their app, you can find resources, connect with other people, but they do telehealth, doing ERP in many, many places all over the world. So to find out more about them, go to nocd.com or treatmyocd.com. I have a little note thing here because I want to make sure that I get to it all. But first, I'm just going to dive right into it. Okay, so typically, I'm going to talk a lot about my own experience here, but typically, people with OCD have pretty vivid dreams. Now, if you don't have vivid dreams, I am not saying you don't have OCD. So don't read into that. But a lot of times, people with OCD do have vivid dreams. And sometimes it can even be they can be so vivid and feel so real that sometimes you're even struggling to know what was real and what was a dream. And of course, there's fruit flies in here and they're driving me nuts. Of course, this can feed into false memory OCD. Okay. So false memory OCD is, I did a video a couple weeks on this. False memory OCD is when you are remembering something or you have something pop up and you can't remember if it really happened, or you can't remember if it happened the way that you're remembering it, or if something happened bad and perhaps you interpreted it wrong, then it, of course, can turn into real event OCD. But when it comes to dreams, sometimes our dreams can feel so real, like we were actually part of it, that this actually happened, that you can mix that up and you can think to yourself, did this really happen or was it a dream? And that can very much get intertwined into your OCD, especially if it's around a theme that you're experiencing. Like, did I cheat on my partner? Um, did I look at someone lustfully? Sexual orientation OCD, POCD, incest OCD. Um, you can have these things pop up in the dreams and you don't know if they're real or not because your dreams feel so real. Why do people with OCD have vivid dreams? I have no idea. I've never seen any research around it. I don't know if we're just hyper aware or hyper focused. And there's all kinds of things that that people fear when it comes to dreams. If I'm having these dreams, that must mean that in my subconscious somewhere I must want this. If I'm having these dreams, maybe this is my intuition telling me something. Maybe I'm having this dream now, and later down the line, I'm going to realize that having the dream was actually predicting what I really wanted. So when you're okay, let me just share. So I have, and I've shared this before on my videos, like I have very vivid dreams to the point where sometimes I wake up and I'm just exhausted. It feels like I didn't even get any sleep. But the ones that are most triggering that have always been, especially around sexual orientation STD, would be the sex dreams, right? And I have sex dreams a lot. Um, a lot. It's not, they're not enjoyable. They're not dreams where I'm just like, oh, yay, that was great. And that was with so and so, and I want to have sex with them or whatever. It's usually somebody I do not want to have sex with that I feel like it's abhorrent to want to have sex with them. But in the dream, I think that I've had them for so long. Now in the dream will be like, this isn't OCD. This is what you really want. And I can feel the physical sensations in the dream sexually. And then I could either orgasm in the dream or I sometimes will be waking up and feel the orgasm. And that's scary to me, right? I mean, but I also want to point out that OCD really hooks us because it feels so real. The groinal feels so real. Urges feel so real that's how it hooks us and gets us to try to figure it out. So why wouldn't it be that way in dreams too? I think that for me, for a long time I struggled with the fact that my dreams it would take it that step further. That actually having an orgasm, and then of course that would launch me into, does that mean it's part of my subconscious? Why would I think this? It felt like the arousal was stronger in my dream. The orgasm felt stronger in my dream, so that must mean something. And I have just since kind of come to terms and accepted that I'm just going to have sex dreams, whether that's incest, whether that is sexual orientation, whether that's having sex or being really intimate with someone that I'm not a partner with. And then, of course, my brain goes, and usually in the dream, it will be really intimate and I will feel very close to that person and very attracted to them. And so then, of course, I wake up and go, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm with the wrong person? Does that mean that I have stronger feelings for someone else? Even if that person in my dream is not someone I recognize or that I even have feelings for, it's just the fact that in the dream I could feel those feelings. It did feel more intimate that it does with my partner. Then I'm going to sit here and start to question that. The interesting thing too is that I rarely have sex or intimate dreams with people that I'm in relationships with, which is also kind of a mind fuck for me because then it is, am I not having sex dreams about this person because I'm not really attracted to them? Whether the sex is great or not with the person I'm with, it is, but wouldn't I be having dreams about them if the sex is that great? So it can be really confusing for me. And that real strong arousal feeling and the orgasm feeling can really make things difficult. So yeah, a lot of times, so I'm just looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get all this. So a lot of times people will struggle with the, if I'm having these dreams and they're so vivid and they're real and I can remember them and feel how strong it was, is this my self-conscious talking? Is this something that I really, really want and desire? We tend to, and then of course we'll go to Google and of course you'll read all this really non-research based stuff that will say, when you Google, you can come across anything that you want to, and you'll come across stuff that says, yeah, this is your subconscious, is what you really want, blah, 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 blah. And that can be so triggering for us. So, of course, try to resist Googling. Um, the other thing is, this can also impact your ability to want to go to sleep. Because if you are having dreams, especially if you've had a dream that's really triggered you and set you off into a relapse or a really big bout of OCD, you may think to yourself, I don't want to go to bed because I don't want to experience this. And y'all, how do you shut dreams off? You don't. They just happen. They're part of the experience of sleep. And a lot of times, again, if we're looking at this as being my self-conscious and you're already scared to go to sleep to have some of those dreams, I also want you to consider the other option. A lot of times you have dreams, or we have dreams of things that are just going on in our everyday life. If something's going on at work, if something's going on in a relationship, you may dream about that person and it may be abstract, but that's not alarming to you. So if you are in your head all day, every day about something, why wouldn't you dream about it? Again, just to have a mundane, boring like cracker dream over here, like wafer dream that's just boring and bland, you know, you're not going to read into that. You're just going to think, wow, that was weird or abstract or whatever. But when it comes to our themes, comes to what we're thinking about, that's when we tend to feel the hook. So you might start to resist going to bed for the dreams or for what's going to happen in the dreams when you're waking up, whether you're going to feel aroused or an orgasm. And I'm going to tell you that can just ruin your day, right? So, thinking that, thinking that this is proof, when you're having dreams and whether it be I'm having a dream and I'm having sex with somebody else, or what does that mean? Does that mean, and I am enjoying the sex in the dream or I have an orgasm? Does that mean I'm not attracted to my partner? You might see that as proof. Especially if you're not having sexual dreams about your partner, you might say, "Oh my gosh, I should question this." And then you might have the inclination to confess, which of course, confession is a compulsion, but it's a very tormenting compulsion because it can be for you and it also can be for your partner. that it, when you're engaging in confession and you're not evaluating the intention, do you really want does your partner really want to hear all the details about a dream that you might be having about somebody else when your partner might just be seeing dreams as whatever, that's just a weird dream, but confessing to them might be painful for both of you. So I would definitely urge you to resist the confession piece when it comes to dreams. Incest dreams, I mean, those are so prevalent. Not just I think people that have incest OCD, but just in general, I have them all the time. I've gotten used to those too, the same as I've gotten used to sexual orientation OCD. It's like, okay, here I am with, Uncle so and so again, and it's disturbing, and I don't want them. But to some degree, I'm like talking in my dreams now. It's like I can't do anything about it now. I just have to go through the act. Ugh. And then how detailed the dreams can be, right? Details of things that you might not even do in your own sex life, or it's almost like sometimes I'll have these sex dreams and they're just slowed down and I'm making conscious decisions of what I'm doing in the dream, of like, okay, now I'm going to take this person's top off, or I'm going to unbuckle their belt and things like that. It's just, how slow and detailed it is. And to me, even in the dream and then afterwards, I'm just thinking there's got to be some truth to this if it was so detailed. Now, lastly, I want to talk about this because it's important. I actually ran a group today, and we talked about this. Oh, just really quickly before I get into this. Um, Also, if you're having dreams about intimacy, whether it be incest, sexual orientation, POCD, or like having sex with someone else that's not your partner, in the dream, it may feel better than it does with the person you're with, or sex in general, or masturbation. It may feel better. It may feel more intense. And in the dream, you could be like, I'm enjoying this more. I like this more. This is also a source of anxiety and fear. And for me, when that happens, I think, well, I'll say to myself in the dream, see, this was an OCD. I just knew it. And then, of course, I wake up and I'm like, why did I say that to myself in the dream? Like, what the fuck? So, if it feels better in the dream, that can be really, really scary. Even feels better than with your partner, or any sex you've ever had before. But then again, let's look at the logical piece here. When you're experiencing the groinal, oftentimes the groinal feels like bigger arousal than your normal arousal would. So this tracks with how OCD would be. So lastly, I want to talk about health anxiety and dreams. And I have never talked about this before. And in all honesty, like I've had a couple dreams like this, but not many. And I've had health anxiety before, but this came up in my group. Um, and several people shared dreams, very vivid dreams that they had where they were having a health crisis. They were sitting in a doctor's office and was getting a diagnosis of cancer, or something in the dream came to you and told you you need to go to the doctor immediately, something is wrong. Now, I have had dreams of vomit, and as you know, I have a metaphobia, the fear of vomiting. And those dreams, I wake up very terrorized. I usually think it's some sort of sign that I'm going to throw up or someone's going to throw up that day. And they're usually very graphic and very detailed. So this is the closest thing I can get to the health anxiety piece. I had one 2 nights ago. I woke up and someone had thrown up in my dream, and there was a series of all these people getting sick, and I was running away from it and I couldn't get away from it. And of course, I woke up, it was 4 in the morning, and now my brain is going, are you sick? And of course, now I'm like, is my stomach hurting? Oh my gosh, I feel nauseous, which of course anxiety can mimic. And so I'm sitting there like counting hours. When was the last time I ate? Could I have gotten food poisoning? Blah, blah, blah. Are there recalls for what I ate? Yada, yada, yada. So, but that, especially with the health anxiety piece, can be big, whatever it is and now that I think about it, when I had anxiety about pain in my feet, when I was having like that physical OCD about my feet, I would dream about the pain in my feet. I would dream about walking and feeling that pain. So again, you know, and of course I would wake up and be like, see, this is proof that it's never going to go away. I'm now dreaming about it. But we tend to do that. Like if you're having a dream about having cancer or AIDS or something like that, that you're worried about a lot, or, you know, lupus or MS or something, you may in the dream be having experiencing the physical symptoms, in the dream. And you may wake up and think, "Oh my gosh, this is my subconscious telling me that I need to go get checked out," which of course could be compulsive, especially if you've already done that over and over and over. Or you might wake up and think to yourself, this is intuition. This is my brain telling me that I could have something, so I need to go get it checked out. So it's important to realize that OCD, no matter what the theme, it that can infiltrate your dreams too, and it isn't necessarily something you have to take action or believe or that it's proof. Right? So definitely wanted to bring the health anxiety piece in, and also the physical stuff. Maybe it's mental health, anxiety, things like that, and violent and intrusive thoughts as well can enter your dreams. Um, you can have dreams about doing things to people or calculating things that you were going to do to people. You can have dreams with guns in them, knives in them, things like that, things that you're typically scared of, right? If you're having violent intrusive thoughts, and that may happen, and you may think to yourself, "Oh my God, now my dreams are predicting behavior I could have had." So bottom line, y'all, dreams, lots of people with OCD tend to have these vivid dreams, and we have very strong imaginations, and so why wouldn't it go into our dreams? Also, the big reminder that OCD feels so real, so why wouldn't it feel real in the dreams too? Dreams aren't, separate of who we are. It's still part of who we are. And so it is not, to me now, I mean, when of course when I was triggered in specific themes, it would terrify me. It would terrorize me. Like wake up and be like, I can't believe I just had an orgasm to that. Like what kind of, sicko has an orgasm to, dreams about family and stuff like that. But now I can understand this is just an extension of OCD. Maybe it had been on my mind, or maybe it's just a way of OCD trying to pull me in or remembering things that I've had intrusive thoughts about before. Either way, I just want you to know you're not alone. This topic always comes up in my groups and stuff like that. So it's really common. I know they can feel real and scary, and this is also a source of shame. If I've had the dreams, this much must mean it could be true. So I'm not going to reach out for support. I'm not going to reach out for help because I don't want someone to tell me, "Well, if it's in your dreams, that must mean it's real, not OCD." We all feel that way, and it is a barrier to getting support. So, this is actually is a great topic. I might bring in this into my community in one of my community times coming up soon. So yeah, and if you're looking for community and you want to meet other people that understand this, who get this, who have experienced this, and you can know that you're not alone, please consider joining my community. It is a subscription. It's $35 a month, but you get weekly support. We have weekly forums. I have monthly classes, monthly events, all things OCD in order to give you support, to walk alongside you, to know that you're not alone. So check that out in the description below, and come and join us. And I hope this was helpful. This is always a good topic to revisit. And I hope that you're feeling a little more normalized no matter what happens in our crazy OCD dreams. Bye bye.